Hello, my chicklets. Thank you for stopping by. I want to give a shout out to Marizzle Young, who is my first supporter on Ko-fi. Thank you so much, and thank the rest of you for being here. I appreciate all of the comments that you all leave, and just having an audience that I can share my stories with. Today I have a fun story for you, however, it does include alcohol, so if that's not something that you want to hear about, I would suggest skipping to one of my other stories. Let me read to you Drunk Thomas. As Thomas stumbled into his house, Logan was the first to appear. He couldn't rationalize why his logical side would be the first side to show up after a night of drinking, but it probably meant a lecture he very much did not want to hear right now. I told you that we should have been more careful. Logan's words were slurred, and his hands flittered around as if trying to figure out what to do with them. It was kind of funny to see the normally cool and composed teacher be a bit lost. Eventually, one of his hands landed on his tie to straighten it, while the other went to push up his glasses. Neither were straight after his attention, and Thomas had to fight back a laugh. Logan was completely disheveled, while trying to act presentable. He was also obviously drunk. Thomas had never really thought about it, but if they were all just parts of him, of course they also got drunk when he did. But that meant all of his sides were drunk, and this was going to be hilarious to see. Before he could even try to summon anyone else, Roman appeared. "Lighten up, you something." Roman looked thoughtful, as if he was trying to figure out a nickname for Logan, but then he actually turned to look at the nerd, and he began laughing, pointing at Logan with his katana. "You look like... Whoa, did you all know I have a sword?" His eyes were wide as he looked at his signature weapon, as if he had never seen it before, marveling as he turned it over in his hands a few times. "Ouch! The foul beast has offended me!" He had a small cut on his hand from the sharpness of the blade. "Shut up, Princey," Virgil called from the couch. His voice was quiet, laden with exhaustion, and they were all pretty sure he had fallen asleep as soon as the words were out of his mouth. Roman looked like he was debating whether or not he should attack the emo, so Thomas attempted to step in. He walked towards Roman, hand out to help with the cut, but Roman apparently made a different assumption. "How dare you attempt to steal my protection? Back, foul beast! This is mine and mine alone!" Logan looked about ready to strangle Roman for his shouting. He even reached out towards Roman, but being so close, it looked as if he was reaching out towards Thomas. The host of this motley crew didn't have time to react as he was swept into someone else's arms, squished against a black and yellow capelet. "All of you, stop bullying Thomas!" Janice was hiding Thomas from the other sides, who were very much not bullying him, but Thomas couldn't help but be touched by Janice's sudden protectiveness, and he hugged his deceitful side back, pulling him in close. Janice reacted immediately, gently petting Thomas's hair and cooing at his favorite person. "You are a complicated snake, but you are my snake." Thomas began to gently rub Janice's back, and it seemed the returned affection made Janice completely melt, knocking his own hat off as he rubbed his head against Thomas's the way a cat might. "This is a mess," Logan muttered, turning to sink out, but bumping into the wall instead, almost falling on his back. "I am extremely functional, and none of you saw that," he insisted, causing Roman to laugh with his full body. "The nerd can't stand," he laughed, stepping forward and tripping over Logan only to land on top of him. "Oh my gods, I'm bleeding!" Roman continued to shout, and Logan groaned. Maybe Virgil had the right idea. A nap sounds like the correct course of action. He wasn't able to get up, though, currently squished under Roman and without the proper dexterity to move. "Bedtime for everyone!" Patton popped up, a little wobbly on his feet, but he faked sobriety pretty well. He started with Virgil, touching him and sending him back into the mindscape. Then he moved over to Logan and Roman, sending both of them back. He had to stop for a moment after that, leaning against the wall to catch his breath. Pretending to be sober was far harder than just existing. When he finally caught his balance again, he walked over to Janice and Thomas, the former hissing at him and turning away so Patton couldn't touch the latter. "Leave my angel alone. He doesn't have to do anything you tell him." Janice stuck out his tongue in a completely failed attempt at being intimidating. I'm just trying to get him to bed." Patton looked at the both of them with puppy dog eyes, round and vulnerable. He wasn't doing anything wrong this time. Janice completely ignored him, pulling away from Thomas just enough to actually look him in the face. 2 of his hands came up to cup Thomas's cheeks and looked into his eyes. Do you want to go to bed? It's okay if you say no. No one can force you to sleep. Not if you don't want to. Thomas laughed, gently nodding even if it was hard to move his head in Janice's grip. It was a long night, and we had a lot of fun, but I think now sleep is good. Janice hummed, nodding gently, still not letting go of the side of Thomas's face. Sleep is good. Self-care. Thomas nodded, trying to move away, but Janice still had him held. He had a sheen of tiredness to his eyes, and Thomas knew he wasn't going to make it up the stairs tonight. Let's all sleep here. There's too many stairs. I can agree to that, Patton said, letting Janice shuffle Thomas over to the couch. Even if we might not feel too comfortable in the morning. I'll survive, Thomas said, thankful that the couch was now empty. Somewhere behind the buzz of alcohol, Thomas knew his sides weren't real, that he couldn't touch them, but there was no time to actually think about all of that right now. Not when he was ready to relax into the comfort of his cushioned sofa. Not when Janice was laying on top of him to keep him safe and warm. He was cut off by a yawn before Patton began tucking the 2 of them in with a blanket. Do all of you get silly when I drink? Only when you drink a bit too much, Patton said, sitting down next to the couch and leaning his head against it, looking up at Thomas with a soft smile. Psh! Janice shook his head. Not too much. This isn't a regular thing, and you stopped before you got sick. So, still have your memories, only drink because you know you were in a safe environment, and you're safe at home. You did perfect. He gently patted Thomas's head. Safe, 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 safe. Janice repeated the word until it didn't feel like a word anymore. Then, surprisingly, he turned to look at Patton. You should relax, Papa Bear. You're working too hard. Even Annie is asleep. All of us deserve rest. Patton bit his lip, and it looked like he was honestly thinking about it for a while. But then he shook his head no. I'll watch out for the rest of you. Janice just rolled his eyes and curled up against Thomas, listening to the sound of his host's heartbeat. I'll protect him, he hissed, gently patting Thomas's chest. The snake began to relax, closing his eyes softly. I'll always protect you. We'll all protect him, Patton responded, letting out a big yawn. You aren't the only one. No, he wasn't. Janice smiled softly. They all loved Thomas, and they were all going to do their best to protect him. That's what it meant to be one of Thomas's sides. Thank you all for listening. I do hope you enjoyed this story. I wrote it for Dragon Saphira. I'm very excited that I got the chance to read it on my channel. Remember that if y'all are of drinking age, make sure you drink responsibly and you take care of yourself. I hope to see you all again soon, and I hope you have a wonderful day.